What is up, guys? Brian here. I want to talk about some of the proposals for stimulus plans. I think it's great that they keep coming out with proposals and just getting the ideas floated out there and seeing what people think. And ultimately, this week, no decision is going to be made. And probably about 60% of people have gotten the $1,200 stimulus. And there's still a lot of people that are still waiting on different money and stuff like that. And I know it's a really tough situation. So I just want to update you guys on that. I want to tell you what I think about some of the different proposals, and then we'll talk about the situation up in Canada at the end. So if you remember the Emergency Money for the People's Act that would provide $2,000 monthly payment to every qualifying American over the age of 16 for up to 12 months. The thing that I see as an issue with that is that that amount of money isn't going to fly. Obviously, they're going to shoot high and then hopefully, go for lower. And I think things are going to happen on a shorter term, whether it be kind of more month to month or maybe a 2-month span of time. But as we've kind of seen with the administration, there's not a quick action to jump out there and necessarily keep kind of shelling out money that's going to go to the people, which personally, I think that it's the best way. This is just my opinion, because people are going to spend the money. They've already spent the money oftentimes, and they're going to have to spend it on food. They're going to have to spend it, on rent. They're going to have to spend it on their mortgages, car loans, like all these kind of things that are kind of going on, their bills. And, people, even if they end up with an overage, they'll go spend it on a flat screen TV or they'll spend it on something else. So, and you might say, hey, that's frivolous. Why are they spending on that? That's not what they need it for and stuff. But at the end of the day, people will spend it. Now, oftentimes with a lot of these, and there's advantages and disadvantages, you don't want to incentivize too much for people to just kind of like lay around and not hustle, even if they're just hustling on their computers. This is just my thinking. And so some of the stuff that's kind of been proposed maybe slightly kind of taps into the idea that it would be more of a tax benefit. And so people that are already out there hustling, it kind of incentivizes them to do more investments and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that. But the other proposal I want to talk about is by Ilhan Omar. And, this was the whole cancel rent and mortgage payments during this whole situation. And there's a reason why I don't think that that's going to happen, and it comes from an administrative problem. So if you remember the EIDL loans, which we keep checking this, and I previously did a video talking about that, where it was like previously agricultural businesses didn't apply, and then now agricultural businesses can apply, but it's closed off for everybody else, and this money went so fast. But this is where you could get $1,000 per employee, or at least that's what they changed it to. Originally, it was like you could get up to a $10,000 grant, which was actually an advance that you didn't have to pay back. A lot of people got, basically cut off from this because it closed up April 15th. I mean, the money just went like that, and it's a tough situation. But if you do have an agricultural business, you can apply for the loan right here, and we keep watching this. Hopefully all the money doesn't disappear, and other people can get in there, small businesses and stuff that need help. We'll keep our eye on that. But as an administrative thing, this was kind of a nightmare. A lot of the loans, the PPP loans, payment protection loans, if they're administered through a bank or they're administered through the Small Business Administration, somebody has to administer it, but it's going to be a disaster. And even the situation where they're helicopter dropping money, like the $1,200, as you can see, about 60% of people have gotten it at this point, but there's still that 40% of people that haven't gotten it. So even that is hard to administer, and there's different errors, and the websites are getting overloaded, and the state unemployment websites are getting overloaded, and all this kind of stuff. So that's one of the reasons, while it might seem, nice that, okay, cancel rent and mortgage payments, it is just an administrative nightmare for, landlords to tap into this and qualify, and for banks to be trying to go through portals and all that kind of stuff to tap into that money. So I just don't see that. While that might be, maybe a good thought or something like that, I just don't see that flying. But, and it's not because she's a feminist. Whoa, don't get on me. I didn't say it first. She said it first. Intersectional feminist. And I had no knowledge of Ilhan Omar if I'm pronouncing that right. Says she's a mom, refugee, intersectional feminist, 2017 top angler of the Governor's Fishing Open, and congresswoman for Minnesota. So from Minneapolis, but originally from Somalia, it looks like. So this was kind of a funny thing, and I'm not trying to like say anything bad about her. I'm not saying anything good about her. She's coming out with proposals. Other people are coming out with proposals. But I just happened to click on a picture because I was trying to get a picture for the thumbnail, and this is just kind of funny. I'm like, what the heck? It says FBI reviewing claims Ilhan Omar married her brother. And this is from the New York Post, but this was January 26, 2020. But basically, kind of like an immigration fraud related thing. It says if Omar did marry her brother, she could be found guilty of committing marriage fraud, a felony offense punishable with prison sentence up to 5 years and a fine of up to $250,000. I haven't checked up on this. I just thought that was like kind of funny. Whatever. I guess everybody has their own little scandal of trying to work the system. I don't know. So let's move on to Mitt Romney's proposal for hazardous pay for essential workers. And, I think, again, that's great. There's a proposal out there to help people on the front lines, where they're working in a distribution center or they're working in the hospitals as nurses, doctors, firefighters, just all the frontline people and all that stuff like that. I think that that's great. But basically, this would be the Patriot pay plan. And, essential workers making less than $50,000 a year would receive a bonus of up to $12 an hour during May, June, and July. 3/4 of that raise would be paid by refundable payroll tax credit from the federal government, and employers would cover the rest. But the main problem with that is that employers cover the rest. I mean, everybody's already clinched up their spending. A lot of businesses that you would never even think would have been, affected, like hospitals, are actually reducing staffs because people are scared to go to the hospital and get treatment and stuff because of what's going on, because they don't want to get sick. And so all these businesses have been affected. So they're going to have this extra money to kind of jump into this. And this would honestly kind of turn, workers against their employers, saying, hey, why aren't you tapping into the Patriot Pay plan? And if they're like, hey, I can't do it, we don't have the money because you have to inject all this extra money and stuff. So I don't know why it couldn't have just been a proposal to be like, maybe an extra $5 an hour or something to kind of like an even back day and give those people extra kind of bonus for being out there working, something like that. I'm not saying that's the exact solution, but this whole thing that employers are going to have to pump more money into it in hard times when everybody's clenched up on their spending. I just don't see that as being logical. Going back to the $2,000 a month, that's too much. If it was like, I'm not saying it's too much. It's just it said that it was going to go on for a year. I just don't see it passing. Let's just say that. I don't see it passing. I think it would be fine, personally, if everybody was able to get $2,000 a month for like 3 months, and then we kind of reset the deck and see where we're at. Kind of this month-to-month thing isn't working because by the time people are getting this stuff, it's on out. So I would almost, personally, I think that people should not focus so much on thinking that, okay, like keep vigilant, keep watching the videos, try to keep you guys up to date, but almost like act as if you're going to get zero, essentially. I mean, I think that's the right mental state, but keep applying, keep tapping into the stuff and all that stuff, and if you get stuff and it helps out, then but if we play the blame game and you're pointing fingers and it's like, hey, it's China's fault, it's this person's fault, this person's not doing enough, all this kind of stuff, then you're not kind of doing everything that you can do to just try to make your situation better, take into consideration if nothing showed up, kind of thing. That's just my thinking. So again, I think it's great that these proposals are coming out. Most of them have been from Democrats. They've been from Democrats. This one, the Mitt Romney one, obviously Republican. And this week, nothing's going to get voted on, from my understanding. So they're going to wait. But the one thing President Trump alluded to is that there could be some situation where capital gains tax could be reduced. And that would actually help out like cryptocurrencies, potentially stocks and options, real estate, where people would be incentivized to get out there and, do whatever. I mean, it could be, you buy like a fix and flip, and where it might be not as advantageous, or the numbers don't work out as well, or maybe you're incentivized to jump in, do more investing. So that could help out those. But again, that's just like a allusion to a proposal. It's not even an official proposal, but probably what they're going to do, because it's a tough thing. You don't want to incentivize necessarily just people kind of laying around, or that people laying around doing nothing are making more than the people that are out there in the distribution centers, the people that are in the hospitals working as nurses, working as office staff, working as doctors and all that stuff. So people have to be incentivized to do something, to hustle, to get out there, do some sort of work, obviously safely. So let's talk about the Canadian situation. And this is a sticky situation, and I didn't understand it initially when I saw it yesterday. I was kind of like, okay, this is definitely taking away freedom, and it's like happening just basically by one person's decision, and or a couple people's decision. It wasn't really a democratic thing. And because of everything going on, I didn't even know. I know this is crazy, guys, and maybe you guys don't know, and I just want to inform you guys. I'm not taking this lightly, but there was like a major, kind of mass shooting situation on April 20th up in Nova Scotia, and I guess like a dude flipped out or whatever. Let's see where we see it, and I didn't even know about this. I just wasn't kind of with everything going on. And maybe this has more information on it. Well, this is more kind of the repercussion of it. And, again, I'm trying to talk in code here. We're kind of censored and stuff like that. But you guys see what that says. This came down swiftly. Boom. Stuff's banned. They're going to be taking this stuff back over the next basically a couple years kind of thing, and this could cost up to $1 billion. And at first when I was hearing that, I'm just like, is this really the time to be doing that? I'm thinking, they're kind of using this and kind of distracting everybody, and then they're going to like take away a freedom kind of thing. But then this was all because of this situation that happened in Nova Scotia. But basically, police said 51-year-old Gabriel Wortman acted alone in the shooting spree. It killed at least 22 people across northern and central Nova Scotia. And I guess he even dressed up like a cop and was in like a cop car or something. And just insane. Yeah, look, see, it says, he's disguised as a police officer in a vehicle marked to seem like a patrol car. I mean, so that just seems like it's premeditated, like he kind of thought that out or something. But I didn't know this whole flip out thing happened, and but that is the worst, situation in Canada's history and stuff like that. So this is a reaction on that. But even if you think that this is the proper course of action, there was no Democratic vote or anything like that for this happening. And then it's just like, boom, a couple people's decision, cut off. But it's extremely hard to buy like firearms up in Canada, or to get them across into Canada from the United States, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you definitely get stopped at the border and stuff like that. So anyway, what do you guys think about that? And then secondly, what do you guys think about these different proposals and what I've said based on the $2,000 per month, for 12 months, versus the rent and mortgage thing? I just think that's going to be, too much administrative headache, and it's just going to be a mess, and websites are going to be going down and more issues. That versus, Mitt Romney's proposal of basically the hazardous pay. I'm all for, to be honest with you, some kind of iteration of some of these kind of combined, whether it's like, great, give the essential workers, extra bonus. I'm fine with that. Cool. If it, makes sense. And then, as far as like giving people helicopter dropping more money, because I really think that you have to do a bottom up approach. You can't just give money to the banks and say, hey, loan this out or something like that, because they're going to act in their best interest. Clearly can't trust the banks, guys. So what do you guys think about that? And if you want more updates, subscribe. Please thumbs up the video. It really helps the algorithm. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also follow me on all social media at Brian Phobos, YouTube, Instagram, Steemit, Twitter, Hive, MySpace, Friendster, everywhere. Okay, see you guys.